Hey guys, Pete here. This is going to be my 10 Things You Might Have Missed video for Twin Peaks Season 3, Part 7. It will contain spoilers for everything that's happened in this season so far, so if you haven't watched Part 7 yet, you're going to want to stop watching now. Make sure you check out my Twin Peaks playlist though, because there's plenty of other videos about the other episodes. Alright, so the first thing that I noticed on the first watch was that Andy is wearing a Rolex whenever he checks the time. A lot of people have been talking about this and have been speculating as to what that means. Honestly, I don't know, but it seems really right there. Like, you know, it's a scene where they're going to focus the camera directly on his watch, and that's the one that he's wearing. Now, there is a possibility this might be his regular watch and whatever, but I don't know. It's something to keep in mind. The speculation goes in all different directions. Some people are saying he might be into some shady business, so on and so forth, but none of that really fits with Andy's character to me. It could be a present, but why would they? Who's giving him expensive gifts? So I think there's a story related to that watch. I don't know what it is. Let's see if we can figure it out. The next one I saw on the rewatch whenever I was doing my recap and review video, and it has to do with the exact moment that Diane changes her mind when they're talking at her apartment, when she decides to help. Gordon says, "This is extremely important, Diane, and it involves something you know about." He looks sort of over at Albert at that point, and then he says, "And that's enough about that." So on the first watch, I figured he's referring to Cooper. She knows about Cooper. But if you think about everything that goes on afterwards, that doesn't really seem to be the case. There's definitely an implication, a very subtle one, that he needs her help specifically for this reason. So I haven't really read any speculation about that. I mean, it could be something about a case they worked on, could be something related to Blue Rose cases or something like that, but it's definitely, I definitely have watched it several times now, and I think, like I said, there is some sort of implication there. I just don't know what to say about it for sure. Another thing I noticed when watching was the guy who plays the warden, James Morrison, has a very familiar voice. If you've listened to the audiobook of The Secret History of Twin Peaks, you'll notice that he is the voice actor who plays the archivist. I had someone comment about this after the episode, and they had the exact same experience. Like, we've heard the warden talk in other places, but it wasn't until they were in his office when Evil Coop is taken to his office that he talks in sentences, I guess, like more than just responding to people or whatever. And it jumps out at you right away if you've listened to the audiobook. The next one is something I saw on Twitter. It has to do with the airplane, and it is pretty neat when you look at it, although I don't think anyone's actually cracked the code. When we see the airplane in the transition scene between when they're at Diane's apartment and on their way to South Dakota, it sort of turns and there is a noticeable blinking pattern that's added to the windows. Like, if you look at it at first, it looks like it may just be sunlight or something, but if you go back after someone points it out, you could see that it was added in there for sure, and some other people have broken it down further to kind of prove that there's been some editing done to the light. Like I said, I have no idea about cracking codes, and people smarter than me seem to be working on it, so I don't know if they'll figure something out or not, but it's interesting that they added this in there, and hopefully we'll find out that there was some kind of really cool message. The next one also came from Twitter, and it was about the subtitles in the final scene at the Double R. This had a lot of people confused because the character comes in and yells, "Has anybody seen?" And it's a little bit hard to understand the name that he says, and then he leaves when no one responds to him. Well, apparently the subtitle said, "Has anybody seen Bing?" So as is normal at the end of every episode, we looked at the credits to see who was who and what was what, and there's an actor who turns out to be Riley Lynch, David Lynch's son, credited as Bing, but no one credited as the guy who comes in the door looking for him. So long story short, it was reported that the subtitles were actually incorrect, and this was Bing who came in and he was looking for Bill. That doesn't explain exactly who Bill is, and I went over this in the recap and review, but it could be that this guy is looking for the farmer, the guy who is credited as the farmer, and that could be Bill. Or it could be someone totally unrelated. We don't know. There's a couple things in the credits over the different episodes that are a little bit fishy. There's, why is this guy credited as farmer? Why don't they credit the oily guy from the cell and from the hospital at all? So on and so forth. The next one is one that I didn't pay a lot of attention to the first time I watched, but after I watched it again, it kind of stood out. It's about Ike the Spike, and it's when they're interviewing the people on TV. The little girl that they show, it says that he smelled funny. And, at first I thought maybe, he peed himself or something along those lines. But if you listen to what the mother said he ran right by us. And I don't know, this just stood out to me. It could be nothing, but it stood out to me because why they put the little girl in there for the specific reason of saying this line. She doesn't really do anything else. So there may be something to it. It has been speculated that he might smell like burnt engine oil. So have a field day with that. And then let me know what you guys think about that. If it's important or what he might be smelling like. The next one I read in an article on Movie Pilot, and it came from Reddit originally, but this is something that I would have never noticed in a million years, I don't think. At the end, when we hear the song playing out and the end credits start to roll, someone realized that there's actually another more creepy song playing at the very same time. So the Redditor Metanoia sussed it out that it is the Wyndham Earl song, Wyndham Earl Motif, something like that. It's just that has really nothing to do with Wyndham Earl. It's just a mood piece that played in season 2. But it is actually added into the soundtrack there with the other song, which is a familiar song called Sleepwalk that you've already heard. So yeah, that's interesting to think about the fact that it's there. It makes it seem like something ominous is coming to the town of Twin Peaks, if nothing else. I don't know what else to say about that, but yeah, if you go back and listen, you can definitely hear it if you're paying attention. Next thing is the fingerprints. It's not really something that you might have missed or, some kind of secret thing, but it's worth mentioning exactly what's going on with these fingerprints, right? So if you look at them, we get a really clear shot of them here. They're both side by side, and you can see that all of them it's not a duplicate. The rolls are different. So we got the thing from Gordon about the left ring finger being the spiritual finger or the spiritual mound. And here we can see that the most likely explanation of what's going on here is that they took all of Evil Cooper's fingerprints, and because his spiritual finger is reversed of the original Cooper, in order to make them all match, he had to reverse that one, and the lettering is backwards. That is the giveaway. So based on the facts that we can see, Evil Cooper has the exact same fingerprints as the original Dale Cooper, except this one finger is backwards. So does that mean that he's his spiritual opposite? That's up for speculation. That seems to be the implication, but we don't really know. But that does lay to rest anything that we didn't know about the fingerprints before, as far as I'm concerned. The next to last one is the people changing in the double R. This is related to the character Bing coming in and asking if anybody's seen Bill, and the music and everything else. I touched on it at the end of the recap and review. They show the double R in two very similar shots, but inside all the people are moved around, or there's different people in their places. I've read some interesting ideas about this, that maybe it's not linear and so on and so forth. It's all interesting, but none of it is concrete. So let me know what your guys' theory is why they would show those two very similar scenes and really it's just one cut to Norma basically, and then change everything in the background at the same time. And the last one is probably not one that you missed necessarily, but it's something that we should keep in the forefront of our mind, and that is there is one more unaccounted for page out of Laura's secret diary. That fact can't be insignificant as far as I'm concerned, and I have no idea where it might be. So that gives us something to think about as we're watching the future episodes. And as I said in other videos, I think that will turn out to be important. Alright, so let me know what you think in the comments. Did you catch all this stuff? Did you think of some other things that I left out? Please like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel because I'm putting out a lot of Twin Peaks videos right now, and I want you to watch them all. Thanks for watching this one. I'll talk to you soon.